bring Liz up, and she's going to talk about her fight for your freedom.
Let's hear it for Liz. Come on, guys.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, everybody. This is wonderful. This will take me a second to get into this because I'm overwhelmed. I'm overwhelmed with the love and support that I've had pretty much since I started this. But my name is Liz Vallee. I'm the candidate for the People's Party of Canada, representing Chatham-Kent-Leamington.
Yeah!
So, is this not an amazing way to kick off the campaign?
Yeah!
Yeah. So you guys know that I've, had a history here of being a freedom fighter. I do want to start off by saying I am going to win this election. 100%. I am going to work so hard that there's going to be no other option but to win. So I do want to start off by saying some thank yous. So I'll go off my notes because there's a lot of important thank yous tonight. So I want to thank all of you for being here, supporting me, buying a ticket, and showing up and chatting with me. This is my favorite part of all of this, is getting to talk to you guys. And this is what we need in this country. We don't need to be separated. We don't need to be locked in our basements. We need to be face to face talking to each other. It's the only way you solve problems. I do want to take a minute and thank USB, thank Brian, who is the owner of USB, and all of the cooks and the servers and the bartender and everybody here. I want to thank our DJ, of course. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Did everybody enjoy the meal? Was that wonderful or what? Yeah. Okay. I also want to thank my campaign team. It was a group of people that, kind of came together and started making all of this happen, and without them, I don't know what I would do. So thank you. I also want to thank Rick Walker, who's standing right here. Yeah, I don't know if you guys are aware, but it's Rick's fault that I'm the candidate. He's the one that found me, and
Way to go, Rick!
yes,
Way to go, Rick!
yeah, so it's his fault. You can blame him. Okay, and I want to thank you to the people from my campaign team that set this all up. So that would be Joe, Penelope, Brendan, Carolyn, Darcy, Carrie, Dawn, and Rhonda. And there are many others on the campaign team that are volunteers that have helped get this party started. I want to thank Don Foucault for helping me with many behind-the-scenes tedious tasks that we have going on that I would never be able to figure out or do. And and Donna has also introduced me to some very loving and awesome people just recently as well, which I greatly appreciate. Because again, like I said, it's my favorite part of all of this is talking to people and finding out what's important to everybody. I want to thank my two managers who are also Rick Walker and Joe Dewey. Yep. So the importance of having a campaign manager is I by nature are a control freak. I have a hard time letting go of things and letting go of details. I want to do everything myself. I want to, if you want it done right, do it yourself. That's my attitude, and that is a fault sometimes. So these guys have made it a lot easier. I want to thank every single person out there who has been supporting me, sending me messages. I do want to take a second and mention all of you out there in social media land who send me the countless Telegram posts and just, all the research you've been doing and giving me information, because without that, it's too hard for me to constantly be doing that myself. So it's a tremendous help when you're sending me all those articles and sending me all those videos and things like that. So thank you for that. Thank you for showing me the love, the support, the messages, the phone calls, the emails, the text messages, the social media shout outs and visits to my home, and of course the donations. Without the donations, we wouldn't be able to get the signs, we wouldn't be able to do stuff like this, we wouldn't be able to get the People's Party of Canada message out there, and that is the most important thing. There's a couple other people I want to thank. I want to thank all the protesters who showed up on the streets with me and protested the lockdowns and protested for freedom. I want to thank Rebel News. For those of you who are not aware, when I got my court summons, Rebel News picked up my case and have been paying for my lawyers for my case. And Penelope is also one of the people who have been charged for just practicing her freedom of speech for crying out loud. So yeah, you'll see me get mad a few times. That makes me angry that she got charged for doing this in Tecumseh Park. Absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah.
So, and I also want to thank No More Lockdowns, the organization of No More Lockdowns, because No More Lockdowns, their whole attitude obviously is no more lockdowns, and they've been supportive all across the country and right here in Chatham-Kent-Leamington as well. They've done huge work here. They helped us with our protest in Chatham, and then you remember Family Kitchen in Leamington and helping them. Yeah, go ahead, clap for Family Kitchen. And then I'll mention Kirsty because of that. She is such a warrior. She, you know, I mean, they left her with no choice, but she is a warrior, and it's just absolutely amazing. So I'm going to talk for a second about how I got here. Some of you know the story, but maybe some of you don't. So how did I get here? So during the second lockdown, I could see that there was going to be a third lockdown. Some people thought I was crazy. They didn't believe it. No, there's no way they're going to lock us down a third time. And I'm saying this in the second one, right? And then as time went on, March came along, and it was very obvious that we were going to go into yet another lockdown. I was fed up. I couldn't take it. I'm talking to people, business owners, workers, and things like that, and they're just like, I don't know what I'm going to do, Liz. I can't do this. So that's when I had enough, and my son Liam and I went out. Yeah. My son Liam and I went out downtown Chatham, and we walked up and down the street holding a sign, and we got quite a bit of support, lots of honks and things like that. But you know, I gotta say, I was terrified. I was terrified to do that. We were sitting in the van, we were getting ready to go, and my heart is pounding and I'm shaking, and you know, but it's in those moments you realize you have to stand up for what is right.
Right.
Even if that means you stand alone.
Yes. Yes. But you don't.
Thank you. So, as things started to progress, you know, I was in touch with some people. One of the people was Barber Mike, so Mike Smulders. I don't know if any of you know him, but he owns Chatham Barbers. And he was one of the people that were stressed out. That gentleman has worked so hard to build what he has now. And when I was talking to him, you know, we became friends. He kept calling on me, and when he needed me, I dropped what I was doing and I went to him. And so that being said, we became friends, and we had a mission. The way we felt about it was that businesses could be open and they could do it safely. There was no excuse to shut them down. Let's be honest, barbers, hairstylists, nail salons, restaurants, and even some gyms are cleaner than when you go to the grocery store, when you go to the Walmart, right? So why are we locking them down? Why are we taking their right to earn a living and locking them down? So our mission it was to raise that awareness and get these businesses open again. So Mike, our crew, and I, we protested a couple of times in front of a certain political figure's office. Not really sure who that was. And with bullhorns in hand and signs in our hands and a mob of people, we're out front of Rick Nicholls' office and we're demanding he comes out and talks to us. Well, guess what? He did. He came out and he talked to us. So poor Rick sat there and took all of it. We released everything on him, all our frustrations, everything, you know, and it did get ugly sometimes. He can attest to that. There was, you know, some desperate people there, and it got ugly. However, he sat there and he listened. And you don't always get it. He didn't have to do that. He did not have to do that. Now, while we were there talking to him, I do recall he did tell us that he was trying to advocate for us behind the scenes and talking to different people, talking to Doug Ford and things like that. At the time, did we believe him? No, we didn't. To be honest, I'm going to be perfectly honest about that. But everybody has their line in the sand. And Rick Nicholls drew that line yesterday. So thank you, Rick, for being here. Thank you for being an example yesterday of how we Canadians can stand up for what is right. Yesterday was my third protest in front of Rick Nicholls' office. But this time, the People's Party of Canada and I were there in support of Rick Nicholls and him standing up for his rights. Now why? Why did we do that? Well, despite the fact that Rick and I have disagreed on some things in the past, it really doesn't matter. Rick still deserves his freedom. This man deserves freedom just like everybody else. So thank you. Thank you for being brave. Thank you for going against the grain. Thank you for sticking to your own morals and beliefs. Most of all, thank you for choosing to stand up for freedom over giving into tyranny. But I have to say, Rick is not free at all, is he? The Conservative Party of Canada has kicked him out of his own party. What they did is they dangled his career in front of his face and tried to force him into a medical procedure, into taking an injection that he did not want. That is not freedom at all.
Right.
So I speak for the People's Party of Canada and for Chatham-Kent-Leamington when I say, we support you. We will fight for your freedom to choose what happens with your body. And you are welcome here in the People's Party of Canada family. So we know now that Rick was indeed working behind the scenes trying to fight for us. So we welcome him in the fight for freedom. We would like to welcome him to a new coalition of freedom fighters here in Chatham-Kent-Leamington, made up of people from across the political spectrum. It's great to add a dash of Rick Nicholls' PC Blue to the purple wave of freedom that is sweeping across Chatham-Kent-Leamington. So, please, if you would, Rick, come on up here and say a few words. Rick Nicholls, everybody.
of all, good evening, everyone, and thank you for being here on behalf of Liz Vallee and supporting her and her venture to become the next Member of Parliament for Chatham-Kent-Leamington. I thought maybe, you know, the appropriate song when I was coming up, because I was hearing a lot of things about freedom, that I thought we were going to do something like Kung Fu Fighters or something. So we're fighting for freedom and respect and honesty. That's what we want.
Right.
And for many years, I mean, when you're, Liz, you have to understand this. You know, when you're in government, there are certain things that you can say and do, but you're under a microscope. And sometimes people will take things out of context, and they'll try to hang you on it. So be careful what you say on Facebook, just as a caution. Because I've had some people, I won't name any, Penelope, and listen, that's okay on Facebook. That's all right, you know. If somebody says something really bad, you were very respectful though. I would just delete it. And then they'd say, you deleted my comment. That's right, you're not going to use my platform to advocate and push for your platform. This is my website, or this is my Facebook. But friends, you know what? As Liz said, they didn't believe what I was saying when I was listening. That kind of a chilly day that day. Glad I had my jacket on. But you know what? I believe that we have to stand true to our values and our principles as people. If you don't do that, I was always taught, to thine own self be true. And yeah, I know there's a song in there, be true to your school, right? You know, we all know that one. But the thing is, Cheryl, you knew that one, right? I know you did. Oh, yeah, sure. Oh, you're not that old yet. Right, okay, well, maybe your parents played that song. But again, if we're not true to ourselves, not true to our values and our principles, what do you have? You've got nothing, really. You know, and what has bothered me, and this has really come to light, when, of course, you know, I was forced with an ultimatum, and Liz has done a great job in kind of identifying what had happened. And so I knew, that if I didn't get that shot, first of all, you know, the Premier had said, we as government will not mandate vaccinations. It's a personal choice. I took him at his word. But then, suddenly, it changed. Well, there were some outside pressures from, and you know, regardless, and I don't want to sound partisan, but some of the other parties were putting pressure on, saying all the MPPs have to be vaccinated or they can't be in the legislature and so on because we will be super spreaders. And I'm thinking, give me a break, you know. But you know, if you want me to be tested, I'll be tested. But that did not come up. So, in looking at, in hindsight, I thought, well, okay, I'm just going to kind of go and see where this, I'll follow and see where this goes. And then suddenly it occurred to me, you know what, this is not going the way I want. I'm starting to see things, and since my press conference yesterday at Queen's Park, and I got the final word, yes, Rick, I hate to say it, but you know, we have to remove you from caucus. You know, sometimes you feel like there's a millstone around your neck. And I wanted to get a knife, put that knife to my neck, but turn the blade out and cut that millstone free. And I'm telling you, I have experienced and felt so much freedom since I've been able to do that. You know, and thank you. Sorry, should have put it on silent. And because of that, all of a sudden, I'm starting to see. There's another song. I can see clearly now. Yeah. You know. And my point is this: when I start to see, to me, all of a sudden, things have been escalating very, very quickly, and I don't like it. I don't like what I see. I don't like what I hear. I believe that certain individuals have been compromised. And they're the ones that have to live with themselves. Now, you know, my faith, my background says, you know what, I'm willing to forgive, but there's got to be change. But I don't think that's going to happen. Right. We have to create that change. Yeah. We have to create that change. And There's a way to do it. There's a way to do it in a very positive way that will garner media attention as opposed to police attention. Okay? Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. One of the things that when I was talking with the Chief of Staff last night, when he was the one that kind of gave me the news, he said, Rick, the Premier is anguishing over the decision to remove you, but we have made, they have drawn lines in the sand and they can't walk it back. So that's fine. He said, the reason why the Premier is anguishing is because he really likes you and you are really admired and looked at in caucus. I'm just Rick. Rick being Rick. And you have to be yourselves. You have to be yourselves. I think that, when I had some friendly protesters and a few other protesters at my office, one of the things was respect. My showing respect for them, and listening to them and taking them back. The wheels of progress in politics turn very slowly. They turn very slowly. But we need to be patient. But you know what? My patience ran out. And you're not gonna stick an experimental drug in my arm. Now listen, some of you may be vaccinated, and you know what? I respect that. I don't want you to think I'm a non-vaxxer. Okay? That's not the case. I'm about freedom of choice.
Right.
We need to have freedom of choice. I read earlier this evening where the top doc in Toronto, public health official, is wanting and telling all companies that they must have their people vaccinated. She wants to make it mandatory. Well, you're right, it is illegal, because this afternoon I was talking, oh man, I'll tell you, you talk about media, they're all over me like crazy, but the point is, I also received a phone call and the link was forwarded to me. The Canadian military have stated that it is illegal. It is illegal. But the Prime Minister doesn't care. I believe there's an agenda there. There's a bigger agenda that most people don't see. And we need to be aware of what's going on. We need to be able to, be heard. The People's Party of Canada is all about freedom. It's all about respect. It's all about responsibility. Those are your core values. You need to stick to those core values.
Yeah.
Freedom, yes. Respect. And again, we need to stick to that. If we don't, then you're just another party. You were founded in 2018. Now, Liz reminded me when she was at one of my protests. She said, Rick, we've known each other for a long time. What year was that? Was it in the 90s? Or was it in the year 2000 something? 2005, because Liz was a vet tech at the time, right? And her company owned a number of different veterinarian centers and throughout the county. She was part of that, and so that's when we first met, and so on. And the reason why she's here today is because she said great training. That was a joke. Come on, It's always bad. Thank you. But again, you know what? Look, I don't want to make this about me tonight, but again, I put my political career on the line.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Because it's not about, if I can be so bold, it's not about the money for me. No, don't think, oh, he's filthy rich. My last name is Nicholls. Not gold. You're right. But the point is that when we form together and come together in a unified manner, they can't help but hear us. They can't help but hear us. I talked about the top doc in Toronto. So I did a little research. Found out that her husband is affiliated with the drug companies. Okay? Yeah. The campaign manager for the PC Party of Ontario, his name is Corey Tonight. He's the guy that really dressed me down on Monday. Never been attacked like that verbally and had ultimatums thrown at me like I did. So I did a little more research. Found out that his company, he's a lobbyist, his company lobbies for 72 companies. Are you sitting down? One of the companies that he lobbies for is a company called AstraZeneca. Now AstraZeneca is that vaccine that the United States FDA would not approve. So when the Prime Minister said, we need vaccines, here, you can take all of ours. And so, you know, so that was a good thing for maybe Mr. Tonight. And of course our Premier, he's probably going to regret getting it because he can't go to the States because guess what? He got the AstraZeneca shot. So, you know, and suddenly that starts to open up my eyes and I go, wait a minute, something's going on here. But again, look, this isn't about me. Tonight it's about Liz. You know, you have a wonderful candidate here, and you know, and she's a rookie. That's okay. That's okay. You know. Yes, he was. So was me. Me was a rookie too. You know, and so on. But you know what? Again, please. You know, I'm glad to see you have such a wonderful turnout tonight, Liz. You know, these people love you, they support you, and thank you for the invitation. Don, thank you for the invitation, you know, to come here tonight and to give my side of the rest of the story. And so on. Thank you very much, everyone.
Who needs a drink after that? Holy. That was heavy. That was heavy. Yeah. You guys gotta go? Okay. Oh, they gotta take care of their dogs. All right, so love you too. Drive safe, eh? So I just, for the People's Party of Canada, I just want to reiterate our core values before I go on any further. So our core values are freedom, personal responsibility, fairness, and respect. So for me, I mean, that speaks volumes right there. Leading into that,
Love you, Liz.
love you too. Drive safe, Kay. Leading into that, I want to talk about the #1 message. This has been my message pretty much since the very beginning, and it is the most important, and it's simple. It's freedom.
Yes.
Freedom.
Yeah! Freedom!
Freedom! Freedom! Freedom! Freedom! Freedom! So, like I said, it's been my message since the very beginning. It's #1. It started out for me just protesting the lockdowns, but I quickly started to figure out it really was about freedom. Everything comes back to freedom. Freedom is #1. If we don't have freedom, we have nothing.
Right.
We literally have nothing. If we don't have freedom, all other issues are moot. They mean nothing. We can't protest, we can't debate, we can't argue, we can't bring up any issues, and we're just a slave to the state. I don't want that anymore. I'm done with that. It is not right. It is not fair. It's not respectful. We don't get to be responsible, personally responsible for ourselves if we're slaves to the state. And we certainly aren't free.
Right.
So, like I had pointed out before, this stuff is super important, what we're doing right now. When we get together face to face and we talk about ideas, they don't want us doing that, right? That's why they lock us down. That's why they trap us in our basements. Because when we start doing this, when we start communicating like this, face to face like this, and sharing ideas, we start learning things like what Rick just shared with us. And that was heavy. That was a bomb. That was a truth bomb. that just went off up in here. So, like I was saying, while the government had us all locked down, Liz Vallee was out in the streets protesting. And I received a court summons because of that. Now, how messed up is that? I'm out there practicing my Charter of Rights and Freedoms, talking about the fact that I don't think it's fair that businesses are locked out and they can't practice their Charter of Rights and Freedoms to earn a living. And I get sent a court summons for that. So that's still pending. I still have another court date. It keeps getting pushed back. But I want to make it clear here that here in Chatham-Kent-Leamington, the People's Party of Canada, Liz Vallee is the only candidate that is standing up for your freedom.
Yeah.
I'm the only one out here in this riding saying that we need our freedom back.
Yeah.
I'm the only one. None of those guys are going to fight for your freedom. They don't care about your freedom. And I find that deeply disturbing, and I'm not afraid to call them out on it. As you can see, that pisses me off a little bit. Well, I mean, come on. We're talking about our God-given freedom here. When you have other candidates that are going to vow to represent you and to, you know, bring attention for this riding to Parliament for you, but they're going to allow you to be locked down, they're going to allow you into forced vaccination, that's messed up and it's inexcusable. So we're going to need to choose a candidate who will actually fight for you,
right.
And that's Liz Vallee.
Right.
So when September 20th comes along, we need to take our freedom back. And you're going to need to vote like your life depends on it, because it frickin' does.
Yeah.
As you can see, I get quite passionate about it, eh? But I want to talk about the matter of the vaccine passports.
No.
Yeah. No is exactly right. So, our freedom should never be tied to a medical procedure. That is just wrong, straight up wrong, okay? That should never happen. There are people out there, so when we're talking about the vaccine, like Rick, I don't want to sound like I'm an anti-vaxxer or anything like that. That's not the case. There are people out there who are actually afraid to catch COVID-19, and they're afraid that something bad will happen to them. They'll get really sick or worse. So for them, it's an emergency to get this vaccination, and that is their right. They should do that. That is their personal decision, and they should do that. I will never advise people either way on that decision. That is something that, again, people need to make that decision for yourself. So, with that being said, we have to stop dictating to people.
Right.
Yeah, on both sides. We have to stop telling people, don't get the vaccine, right? We have to stop telling people, no, if you don't get the vaccine, you're a bad person, you're a grandma killer, and all of that stuff. That's nonsense. And I want to tell you why. If I tell somebody not to get the vaccination, and then they get COVID-19, and they get really sick, I'm going to feel like a total jerk, right? That's not cool. On the same token, if somebody tells you you are a bad person, you need to do your part around here, you need to go out and get that vaccine, and then you have a horrible reaction, or worse, well, now they're the jerk, right? When this happens, when somebody has a horrible outcome, either way, but if somebody has now that they're really pushing us on this, if we have a horrible outcome from the vaccination, who is liable? Who's going to support that person? I can tell you it's nobody. I've had many people come to me talking about their reactions. I interviewed Kevin, and he had his vaccination May 5th, and to this day he is having seizures from that vaccination with no help. Not even recognition. They did not report his case as a vaccine reaction. So I want to encourage people out there, just let people make the decision on their own. Stop forcing it. Stop making your neighbors feel bad. Stop disowning your friends and family. Because if something happens to them, what are you going to do? It's your fault. You made them do it. So when it comes to personal choice, it's personal choice, and you got to leave it at that. Okay? I just wanted to clear that up. So I did want to state that, because it's going to come up anyways, so I'm just going to let the world know. I'm not getting the vaccination. I have my reasons, and I'm more than willing to talk about it. You know, should anybody want to ask, I'll give you a brief rundown of why I've made that decision. But, you know, we really shouldn't even be asking. But again, it'll come up. So yeah, please don't ask people.
Right.
Please don't ask people. I'm talking to the cameras here. You out there, out in social media world, stop asking people. It's none of your business.
Right.
I'm going to tell you my reason. It's simple for me. I've dealt with a lot of issues myself pretty much my whole adult life. And in the past year and a little bit, it's kind of weird that it coincides with COVID, but most people had the reverse of health issues. I had great turnouts of health issues during this thing, but I really worked hard on my health, and I figured myself out, and I fixed myself. I fixed all the problems that I've been having over my adult life, and I feel amazing. I feel so healthy. I'm in the best health I've ever been. And I'm really scared that I'm gonna mess it up. I'm sticking something into my body. I don't know what it is, right? And I can read upon it, and I can study all of it and things like that, but I still don't really know how it's gonna react with my body, and I'm not willing to take that risk. I'm just not. And, you know, so it started out with that, and I was kind of like, well, you know, maybe someday. But with all this push and all this forcing it on us, well, now I'm like, no, screw you and your vaccine, I'm not taking it.
Freedom.
Freedom is damn right. So, and just another point on that for me, part of the reason is it is not an approved vaccination in meaning that it is a temporary interim use only. So emergency use, right? So for many people, this is an emergency. For them, it felt like an emergency, and they needed to go get the vaccination. Cool, like that's great. And it helps them live their life and makes them feel safer and all of that. That's wonderful. I'm glad they can go back out into the world and feel confident and feel like nothing bad is going to happen to them. But for me, it's not right for me. So this shot has also only been out for less than a year. It is a new technology, never before used in humans, and the trials go until at least 2023. We are the trials.
Right.
Yeah. So this choice to vaccinate yourself is yours and yours alone. Nobody can dictate that to you. Nobody can force you. It's not right. So I just want to also point out, so that's why, that's why. But I also want to point out that the pharmaceutical companies have been making billions of dollars on this as well. So that makes me nervous too, right? It makes me skeptical. I'm already a skeptical person anyway. Skeptical of everybody, all the government, all the pharmaceuticals, all the elites and stuff like that. I've always been that way. So, that just comes natural for me. But, when you look at things this way and you keep asking these questions and things like that, it doesn't make you anti anything.
Right.
It doesn't. It just means that you're critical thinking, you're thinking for yourself, and you're asking questions. And another term that is false that bothers me is the science is settled. Science is never settled.
Never.
It's
Yeah.
never settled. It changes all the time. So people who say that are not actually following science, they're following the science, as if there's only one. There isn't. So keep taking in the information and keep making those decisions for yourself. So, what I don't want to see here in this country are two classes of citizens. And I'm really afraid that that's what we're seeing. I'm afraid that we're turning into a show me your papers state. And I don't want that.
Right.
Our freedom has been stolen from us. Let that sink in. It's gone. Our Prime Minister is telling us that if we don't take this experimental injection, there will be consequences. They put masks on our faces, they locked us down, they kicked us out of our jobs, they took away our Charter of Rights and Freedoms when people like Penelope and Mike and I have been charged for practicing our right to peacefully assemble. And now they threaten us. Take the jab or there will be consequences. When we are forced to turn over control of our own bodies to the government, we are not free at all. We must fight to take our freedom back.
Yes. Yes.
Because trust me, they're not going to willingly give it back to you. So here's where we must say no to this new form of bigotry. We must say no to this new form of segregation. We must say no to mandatory vaccinations
Right.
and no to the vaccine passport.
Right. Right.
The government is forcing us to give up our freedom for safety. That is another lie. The People's Party of Canada want you to know you can have both.
Yes.
You can have freedom and you can have safety. Under any other government, every other party, it's all the same. There's no difference. We've got the Liberals, we got Liberal Light, we got Liberal Green, we got Liberal Extreme.
Yes.
And then we have the People's Party of Canada. And PPC is going to fight for what's right, and we're going to fight for your freedom.
Thank you, Liz.
Yeah. So when September 20th rolls around, you got to remember, you got to vote PPC. You got to vote PPC strong and free. You got to vote Liz Vallee strong and free.
Yeah.
And we go back to the message, the simple thing I've been saying all along. Freedom! Thank you again, everybody.
Let's hear it for Liz.